Hello again. This is going to be the second video lesson in a series of I don't know how many. And the tune I had in mind today is a tune in G. And it gets played a lot, probably all over the country. But I know it has some origins in southern Missouri, southwestern Missouri, Springfield area. The tune is actually goes by several different names that I know of. The one that most people know is called Senecca Square Dance. But Bob Holt, the eminent southwestern Missouri fiddler who I met back in the 90s, told me that this tune was called Shoot That Turkey Buzzard around where he lives. And I also know it as Waiting for the Federals. So there's probably more names than that I don't know about. This is the tune. Start with the G chord and some potatoes. Faster. So I threw in some bells and whistles on that. There's lots of potential, and the key of G is such a great key for playing fiddle tunes because you have lots of easy chords to reach. You have drones that are easy to make, and it's also possible to play in both a low and a high register. So love playing in G. So, yeah, there were some bells and whistles, but I'm going to simplify this and break it all down so that anybody can play it. So, we'll start with what's the G, key of G. So we're going to play, I'm going to start with a G scale. That's the G scale in the low register, and then if I carry it onto the upper register, so if you didn't know what, I just told you what the scale is, but if you didn't know what the scale was, could you tell me, or could you figure it out? Well, it's easy because all you have to do, and this goes along with figuring out the key of any tune that you don't know the key of, what was the last note played in one of the parts or at the end of said scale? Well, in this case, that's one note that ended, I ended on, and here's the other one. And those are both G notes. So, safe to say that I just played a G major scale, and if my tune, the tune that I'm playing, ends on ends on a G note. Most of these old-time and Irish tunes will end on the note of the scale that they're constructed from. So if I played the second part of the tune that we're going to learn today, there's your last note. What note is that? I'll give you 3 guesses. First 2 don't count. That's G. So you're in G. That's one way to figure it out. Sometimes people will tell you, well, you can tell by the first note of the scale, of the first note of the tune. Not always true. In fact, I'm not sure that it's true in a lot of cases. But the last note is pretty reliable, except for, say, there are tunes that just don't resolve, or they'll end on some other note of the scale. So then you have some other way of figuring out what key you're in. Anyhow, so let's go back to Senecca Square Dance. And this tune is, well, we're in G, so you might as well know how to do a G chord. Here's your G note, third finger on the D string. And what's the G chord made out of? Well, it's made out of a triad of 3 notes, which are the first, the third, and the 5th notes of the scale. So the first note is G. Here's another G note. The open G string, of course, but we'll work with this third finger D. And then the second note of the scale is A. And we're looking for that third note, and there it is. That's B. So so that means that B and G are important notes in any tune that's in G. So you have G and B. Remember, the B is first note on the A string. The G note, third finger on the D string. And if you put them together, and you're going to be putting your bow down, covering both the A and D strings, what I would call the A-D plane, and there you have a G chord. Another G chord, obviously, is, and what is that composed of? G and G. They're octaves apart, 1 octave apart. Okay. So, the tune actually starts not on a G note, but on a B note, which is the 3rd degree of the scale. That's the first phrase that we're going to learn. So again, you put your first finger down on the A string, on that B note. Okay, so the first phrase is, so you're going to play that B note twice. And remember what I said, if you happen to look at my other lesson about putting more than 1 note in a bow stroke, you're going to start moving the bow toward the tip, and now you're going to slap the 3rd finger down. And I'll do it again. What you shouldn't do is this. What are you doing wrong? You're moving the bow too fast. You don't have to move the bow fast. All you have to do is move the bow slowly with your first note already on the string, And there's your second note. So now you've done a slur. So again, the phrase is one more time. B, B, D, B, or 1, 1, 1, 3, 1. Now, timing of notes is important because that's obviously how one tune sounds like no other tune. You have first finger, now you're going to do 1, 3. And what do you notice about that combination 1, 3? The first finger note, you have a first finger and a third finger in the same bow stroke. Which note is longer and which note is shorter? That's your clue. They're not the same time value. The first finger note, that B, is going to be shorter. We found a dog on our dog walk this morning, and she's running around. There she is, and we're going to get her back to her owners later today, we hope. So that's your slurring. So you've already covered a phrase of maybe a half dozen plus or minus notes, and you've only played 2 fingerings. Now you're going to cross strings to the D string. You're going to put your third finger down for your next note, which is that G note. And now you're going to cross back again to the first finger on the A string and play that twice. So what do we have? Can you do that so far? If you can, we're ready to move on. Let's see. Now, one thing that I've noticed when I slow tunes down, and I've mentioned this before, is that you play them differently when they're slow than when they're fast. The bowings are different. So at this speed, this bowing makes the most sense to me. Sorry. What I'm doing there is putting 3 notes in a bow stroke, which is 3, 1, open, 3, 1, open, over to the G note. So, what do we have so far? Now, did you see what I did there? I didn't do 3 notes in one bow stroke. I did 2. I broke up that bow stroke. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is, if it makes sense to you, do it. That's how, when I started fiddling, I was told, and at the time I was reading music almost exclusively. I hadn't learned how to play by ear yet. And I kept getting told that if you can throw the music book away, the sheet music, the dots, then you can start to make a tune your own. And that's an important phrase, making a tune your own. How do you do that? Well, you do it by not playing a tune like anybody else. But the caveat is that it still has to sound like the tune that everybody else is playing in your session. Because if you're playing like uh, Jingle Bells, if you're playing Jingle Bells and everybody else is playing Silent Night at the same time, the two aren't going to go together too well. It can be that different. So, but if you're staying generally over the same chord progression that the tune is in, you won't have any problem. You'll just play the tune by yourself. I mean, you'll come up with your own version of the tune. So what do we have so far? That's what we have so far. Now, you know what I like about teaching these old-time tunes? There's a lot of repetition. So what comes next? The same thing that we've already done. You should be able to do that if you've gotten this far into the video. And so, you know the entire first part of the tune, the A part, minus the tag, which I haven't shown you yet. And that's the next thing. So I'm going to go back over to the G string, or the G note on the D string, third finger. And now I'm going to play the tag. Okay, what did I just do there? So I went back to the A string. So there's a lot of slurring in this, but the good news is there's only 2-note slurring. There aren't any 3-note combinations in any single bow stroke. O1, open 1, open A, go back over to the G, the D string for that G note. Now, the next is 1, O. And I'm slurring 1, O, which is just putting your first finger down and then lifting it up while you keep your bow moving. And now you have 3 notes left to play. Right up the scale. 1, 2, 3. Right? So, again, that tag, and I'll play it slow, 3, starting on third finger D, and that tag really illustrates what I call, or what a lot of fiddlers call, bowing patterns. There's lots of bowing patterns used in old-time fiddling, but this bowing pattern is one of the most common ones you'll encounter, which is what I call the slur-two, slur-two, saw-two, or a saw-two, slur-two, whatever you want to call it, which is, now what's a saw? It's just single bow stroke notes. So, so in this tune, you're either sawing or you're slurring. That's a saw. That's a slur. 2 notes sawed. Slur. 3 notes sawed. So, slaw-two, slur-two. Easy for, did I say slaw? Saw-two. I was thinking coleslaw. Saw-two, slur-two. So again, the tag is this. Again, calling out the names of the notes, or the fingerings, it's O1, O, D string, 3, 1, oh, 1, 2, 3. And my screen is darkened. I have to refresh it. Okay. So, let me play slowly what we have for the A part, the first part of the tune. And then you play that twice when you're playing the tune. So it takes the form of A, and then B, B. Here is, let's go into the second part of the tune. Now, a lot of tunes in old time will have a low part and a high part. You could call it coarse and fine, like some people do. And so here's a G chord. What I'm doing is holding down the second finger with on the E string and the first finger on the A string. So what is this note? That's B, remember? What's this note? E, F, G. So there again, we have a G chord. Same as this. So here is the first phrase. So what this involves is another slur and a string crossing. Second finger. You're going to slur while you're crossing a string and while you're making the first note of the pair shorter than the second note. 2, 2, 0, 1, 1. I'm sorry, 0, 3, 1. 2, 2, 0, 3, 1. Okay, so that's the first phrase. Now you're just going to hit that E note, open E string lightly, very short note. Now you're going to go back to G, that G note, this one, second finger. And now you're going to slur your third and fourth fingers. And this is 3, 4. So you have A, B. And the phrase ends with that open E. Okay? So, what we have so far. One. Okay, now, so moving on, remember I said that a lot of these tunes repeat parts that you've already played, which means you already know like 3/4 of the entire tune and including half of the B part. So moving on, you have second finger E, that G note. Okay, we've already covered that. 3, 4, open E, first finger, second finger, 2, 2, open E to the third finger A. There's that string crossing again, so make that E note a little bit shorter. If you're looking at written music, I liken it to being a eighth note, quarter note. eighth quarter combination, and you see that so many times in old time music. So what am I doing here? I'm just going down to that first finger on the A string. Now, you know the entire tune because the tag on at the end of the B part, I believe, is exactly the same as the tag at the end of the A part. Three on the D string, open A, O1, O, three on the D string, 1, O, 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, you now know how to play Senecca Square Dance, or shoot that turkey buzzard. Here is the whole B part. And now I'll play through the A and the B together. And I'll start with For Potatoes, which is just this long, short, long kind of shuffle over this G chord. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do here is I'm going to join the A and the B parts with just two notes, and that is this G chord with the notes played separately. Third finger D, slurring. But if you want to do soft strokes, you can do that too. And that's a G chord. So it's going to fit. It's going to sound good. Now I'm going to go to that higher G. And I'll repeat it. Congratulations, you now know how to play Senecca Square Dance. I will end this video lesson by playing through the tune and adding some bells and whistles, and see if you can figure out what I'm doing. And if you can't figure out what I'm doing and you want to nab me in class or after class and say, "What the hell were you doing there?" I'll show you. I noticed that my picture just froze on me, and I don't know why my computer does that, but I'm pretty sure the audio is still coming through. So you've got the full lesson, you've got the full video and audio portions of the lesson, and good luck with it. This is such a nice tune, and I hope one or more of you try it out. And until next time, when I'll be doing a tune that I don't know what it'll be yet, but I'll figure it out.